Hello everyone, Vanguard of Valor here, and welcome back to the Sunless Sea. We are today setting out for a vast voyage out into the unknown, but already we've taken a great deal of damage from attacking those we probably should have avoided. But we'll take a short visit at the Salt Lions and see what we see. Two basalt beasts, cathedral-sized. As always, we compile a port report, record the activities of the Unmakers, such as they are, and we'll see what else we can do here. We can visit the Unmakers, we can carry Sphinxstone to London, or we could put a Blemmigan ashore. I believe at the moment we'll visit the Unmakers. Well, not much new here. We do gain a single fragment and lose 5 terror. It's better than nothing, and for now, we'll take what we can get. It sounds as though there's not much here we can do, however, and so we head out to port once again, or head out from port once again, in fact. This area of the Z is largely unexplored, and so to it we go. We'll stop in briefly at Nuncio to compile a new port report of things unexplored, and then we head out to explore the deep Z. Far, far from the lands we know well. I'm sure nothing could possibly go wrong out here. We arrive briefly in Nuncio, not expecting to stay for long, just long enough to get news from the port and learn what may be happening on the Isle of Postmen. And so, we arrive. In Nuncio, we find that there's not much to be told. We'll assemble a port report, gained a memory of distant shores, and onwards we travel. Simply a brief stop, with nothing to purchase and nothing to sell. Onwards, into the unknown. The darkness is truly hostile this far away. The Finknottle vortex threatens to swallow ships whole. But we head more northerly to find out what else may exist out here. Because truly, who knows? A ship sits in the darkness, unmoving. Perhaps in ambush? But it doesn't seem interested in us too unduly. However, we do find another great whirlpool, the Kizagar vortex. The dangers of the Z are unending. We have also discovered the Chapel of Lights, however. An interesting place. Let us take interest. The Avid Horizon stands to the northwest as well. Many new locations for us to investigate here. And so we dock. Furtive faithful gather in the shadows between the many, many candles. Well then. A bell tolls in the chapel tower, cracked iron laughter. Beware, this isle is full of voices. We can eat at the chapel's bounty. We can give a nightmare to the well. Give the well color. The smiling priest whispers. The well drinks dreams, and the well is always thirsty. This will reduce our nightmare's strength, but also scar us permanently and increase our wounds by 1. Well, we don't have a nightmare as of yet, so we can still travel on safely. We will certainly gather intelligence here, however. A smiling priest in a red cassock tends the chapel. The congregation are shy of light. They come and go in little ships, and it's strangely difficult to count them. Perhaps some of them are imaginary. Still, we know the name of a ship or two. We can easily attend a service at the chapel if we're interested. And I think we'll eat of the chapel's bounty and see what that does for us. They have shark steaks plucked from the sea, Thin slices of cavern tuna, translucent and delicate as paper. Little crimson cakes flavored with cinnamon and coated with poppy seeds. Tomatoes impossibly ripe and sweet so far from the surface. Gorge ourselves. Leave with the juices dripping from our chin. And we're no longer hungry. Let us attend a service at the chapel and learn what we may learn. It costs 5 supplies, however. That is a great deal of supplies for such a long journey intended. Perhaps we'll return here later. For now, I feel as though it's not a wise course of action. We visited the Chapel of Lights, but we'll have to return here another time to learn of its secrets. There's the well, indeed. For now, we head north to the avid horizon, wary of monstrosities which approach upon the sea. As of yet, however, the journey goes unhindered. We have in fact discovered the avid horizon. Is there a place to make port here? I think not. Ah, but there is. Right at the mysterious gates of the north, under the watchful eye of 2 hooded figures. This is the end. The avid horizon. 2 vast winged shapes guard a gate of something like resin, smooth but uneven. It is deep gaunt, the color that remains when all other colors have been eaten. Ice crusts over the crack between its valves. Approach and where breath freezes, falls tinkling in shards from the air. We would be utterly foolish to touch the thing. A merciless wind blows from everywhere to everywhere. It passes without effort through our bridge coat, our flesh, our lungs. The dock lies empty. We can look into the stars with our terror. We can gather intelligence as much as there is to gather out here where nothing moves. Let's do so. The stillness is itself of interest to the Admiralty. It is not impossible somebody foolish might attempt to open the gate. It's not inconceivable that it might open from the other side. And what then? We have another option, though. We've heard a story. The ice by the gate's edge. There was a whisper about a hunting quest and a final revenge. Well, let's investigate this. Yes, this is what the rumors meant. A hunter frozen in the ice, hands contorted to claws, mouth agape. With her left hand she had plucked her own eye from the socket. It lies very close to the surface of the ice. If the stories are true, there's a dark virtue in that eye. We'll take it, but perhaps we should put it in a jar. The hunter's eye. We've lost 77 fragments in recovering it from what we knew of the story, but hopefully it will serve us well. We can also look into the stars. Stars float in the mirrored night of the waves and watch them for a while. Why not? These are real stars. They burn above the roof of the Neath, beyond the earth, in the spaces of heaven. Even so far away, even now, their eyes are on us. But here, in the night, under the world, we are safe. Safe. We return to our senses, gasping. Our hands are cold, numb. How long were we watching the stars? We've gained 10 terror and a fragment. Well, perhaps not. There's nothing here, and so we set sail once again, leaving this cold, unwelcoming place. The doors to an unknown horizon, with unfamiliar stars reflected in the waters below. We set sail, uncomfortable. There is nothing within the Zebat's range as far as we know, but that will not stop our explorations. Today we explore the north, and see what truly lies along the waves. Who knows what horrible, horrible horrors await us in the deep Z. Our Zebat comes back wanting, seeing nothing in the nearby paths through the waves. We've entered Palmerston's Reach. There's brimstone on the wind. If any land is inhospitable, it is Palmerston. Mount Palmerston is a long way to the southeast, and perhaps we shall head there next. A most terrible place, Mount Palmerston. But for now, we explore the remainder of the north. Before turning south towards Palmerston. Strange ships split the waves near us, and we've discovered Mount Palmerston. Well then. It seems we've docked on the wrong side of the mountain, but we will keep going. A Faustic corsair sees us, but is not interested in chasing us down. We are lucky this day. The Tides of Appetite are some distance to the south. Perhaps we'll head there afterwards. But for now, we visit the volcanic isle of Mount Palmerston. Greetings, Port Palmerston and Ambrose Point. What do you have for us here? There are two options that await us. Let's wait at Mount Palmerston here. Sullen lights glow green at the jetty's edge. We can explore the island. We can engage a first officer who increases our iron, veils, and hearts, the merciless modiste. With 5 parabola linen. Well, that's not an option to us. We can chat to the port folk about the Brimstone Convention. There was a revolution in hell, and the aristocracy of devils fled here. Here they plot in exile. We could dig amongst the ruins, and perhaps find something good. For now, we will compile a port report. They don't do us any harm. They stay up there, and we stay down here. If hell's fighting itself, that's good for us all, isn't it? Indeed. Let's explore the island, perhaps, or perhaps not. If we go up to the crater, what do we see? Did they admit visitors to the Brimstone Convention? Probably not. But you never know. They might sell tickets. Above the bay, we look down and see Port Palmerston like a toy, and the ruins like gravel. We've come far, but the volcano's cone still rears above us. We rest a little before we go the last half-mile. The road to the crater ends at a brass gate in the crater wall. Beside it stands an oddly charming little cottage. It's thrown together from pumice and basalt, but it features honeysuckle. An equally charming deviless in a tea gown leans against the cottage wall, twirling a parasol and fanning herself. "I am the guardian of this place," she remarks languidly. "You may not pass, but can I offer you a cup of armillaria tea?" Armillaria? That's not one of the poisonous ones, is it? We're pretty sure it's not. Let's investigate the wistful deviless. No doubt she'd be much less pleasant if we tried to break down that gate, but just now she's a courteous, soft-voiced woman in a tea gown. The tea is hot and nutty and rather pleasant. She asks about our voyages, desperate for news of London, of its mists, its nights, its sick, its poor, its fires. She tactfully turns aside questions about the convention, but she shares some of the secrets of the Neath. "Come and see me again," she says, "next time you're here." She shrugs gracefully. "Bring me a present, if you'd like." We gain 60 fragments, but that's all for now. We've taken tea with the wistful deviless. Well then, we return to Mount Palmerston, but there's nothing else we can do here to explore once again, so for now, it's perhaps time to leave. From the daily bread, we can acquire supplies. From Milbolge excavations, we can acquire very cheap fuel, and perhaps we shall. Cheap fuel is certainly something to profit from. One more. We could buy ambiguous aoliths, some high-price zoop, or some devil-bone dice, but for now, we will keep traveling on the Z. With our fuel restocked, at a great reduction in cost. Hopefully there is much more for us to discover. For now, though, we head towards the top right of the Z. The edges, the corners of known space. We already know that there's an interesting site down here to find, but for now, our journeys take us elsewhere. It is, of course, possible that we do not survive our journeys out into the far reaches of the Sunless Sea. It is entirely possible, if not likely. But we've discovered a new, mysterious place. Irem, perhaps. Let us explore this odd discovery. We've discovered Carlisle's Haven. Let us make port here and see what other mysteries the Sunless Sea has for us. We've arrived in Irem. None have ever spoken truthfully of this place. Irem, the pillared city. She will rise from the Z and the ice like dawn. She will be garlanded with red and decked with gold. The Seven Serpent will watch us longingly from its high pedestal. We will arrive as a stranger, but when we leave, some part of us will always remain. Well, we can rest in the House of the Amber Sky, but we have not the coffee to stay. We can put a Blemmigan ashore, or we can compile a port report. For now, a port report of Irem is all we can afford. When we sit down to write the report, we will recall that it was written already. Who wrote it? The report reports that it was already written when it was found. Who found it? The report describes another report, which will indicate the name of the finder. Where is the other report? There's a footnote which describes that we will record its location. When will that be? When all is well, and all manner of things is well. A strange place. But we cannot stay in the House of the Amber Sky. There is, however, a great deal of trade to be done here. We can spend secrets to acquire interesting things. We could buy a watchful curio with secrets. Simply one, I believe. It's difficult to tell. We need one of these, however. An empty mirror catch box. Many valuable things lie here. We could buy parabola linen for secrets. A judgment's egg would cost 10. That would be a vast price indeed to pay. Well then, lots of interesting secrets lie here. We know we need a watchful curio, and perhaps for a single secret that is not terribly a price. Let us acquire one. One watchful secret sits in our hold. Well then, how many secrets do we have? Can we see that elsewhere? We have 12 secrets. Alright. We return to the shops. Yes, 12 indeed. I don't believe we need ambiguous aoliths. A mirror catch box is always useful, though. Perhaps we should acquire one. We know we'll need one for another quest of ours, so we'll add one to our inventory at the cost of more of our secret knowledge. As it stands, however, that may be all we wish to acquire. From the threshold, we could sell a captivating treasure for 50 fuel. An element of dawn. A piece, a mission, or work of the dawn machine to summon the Tree of Ages. That sounds most mysterious. We could sell it for a paltry 25 supplies here. We could sell or buy a strange catch, or supplies, or fuel. But I don't think so. At Wind Come Calling, we could acquire 10 searing enigmas for a dread surmise. We could buy tales of terror for memories of distant shores. It looks as though all of these stories are interchangeable. We can buy 2 extraordinary implications if we wish to spend a great deal of echoes. As with secrets, the tales here come costly, and I think we shall leave them be. For now, It is time to investigate elsewhere from this pillared city. Burning blue. A hiss of horror from the lookout. The glint lamp at the front of the ship is sputtering and arcing, fizzing with blue light. Even as we watch, the blue fades, but it's not a good omen. We can spin them a story with our Z stories, or we can take a 96% chance at using our hearts to naturally explain it. Let's do that. The darkness underneath is more the absence of the light. It's a physical presence which distorts the shape of the world. Our light melts the darkness, restoring sanity to the world. We explained something of this to our sailors. It's not the first time they've heard it, but they seem slightly less nervous. Well, good. For now, we move onwards. The world is full of mysterious things, and we seek to discover more. We are almost at the right side edge of the world. Irem is some distance to the northwest. Well, another port on the other side of the island. Let us investigate. Restless nights, however. In the watches of the night, we pad softly past the hatch to the crew quarters. A man cries out softly in his sleep, desperately. Another. Let us investigate about their dreams. The whole neath lit up like a snuffer mask. There's something in the roof, Captain. It's the roof. It's watching us. Eyes in the face! Eyes in the face! Yes, we say softly. We lay our hand on the sailor's burning forehead. There are storms in the roof. Hush. We won't join them yet. We've gained 10 terror, which means we're getting dangerously afraid, but we do gather 20 fragments. And onwards we sail. Through Rigsgegger's Straits towards Irem proper, perhaps. What else could hide in the top edge of the world? It looks as though there's nothing of interest up here, simply the cold and the unknown. We do find Weaver's Rift, however, and swing down towards Irem, perhaps? Or just the discovery of the land. We'll investigate. We'll investigate. Circling Irem proves unproductive, although not entirely without merit, as it does explore more of the world on our map. Red petals drift down from the mysterious island. A maze of interconnecting and overwinding passages. But now we head out for new lands. Whatever we're meant to find here, we've proven unsuccessful in discovering it. But perhaps it will stay for another time. For now, the Z beckons. Luminescent beasts like eyeless dolphins play in our wake. We discover the Nablus Rift, an enormous expanse of dark waters. Well, of course, there's nothing for it but to cross and hope for the best. We know something lies to the southwest, and thus to the southwest we sail. Irem is determined to be discovered, although we've already seen its shores. We approach the empire of our hands. Of hands, rather. Let us clasp our souls tight, lest the Pentecost apes try to take them from us. Hello there, skull in the water. Let us sail with all possible speed. And attempt to get free from this corvette which hunts us. It seems as though we are clear, but it's difficult to tell. And we have reached the mysterious land of Polythreme. Well then, obey, endure, commingle. A strange land. The ship chases us still. Polythreme, here is screaming. Taciturn clay men lie here. Evasive clothes colonies waiting like humans, walking like humans in fact. Cobbles that groan underfoot. On the hills above, a palace villa of marble, but even that writhes like buried bones in an earthquake. Let's create our port report here and see what else we can find. The king with 100 hearts rules from his palace above the city. He's never seen. He makes no treaties with other lands, but there's unrest in the air. The clay men we speak to are obedient and humble, but they speak nervously of those who are not. The maimed, the rebellious, the unfinished. We can carry clay men to London should we desire. Are they passengers or cargo? They're certainly the easiest passengers imaginable, unless, just unless, one turns out to be an unfinished man. With a watchful curio, we can take an audience with the king with 100 hearts. Something tells me that is not necessarily the greatest idea. Well then, what else could we do here? At the Temple of Labors, we could sell a casket of sapphires, a judgment's egg, or Stygian ivory. Or we could purchase some clay wen. Crew stokers reduce crew requirements, but also crew capacity, and will slightly increase engine power. They're fitted to an auxiliary slot, and when they're not in use, they will stand patiently, hands by their sides, flat, grey eyes unreadable. One will say sometimes, "I like it when it is quiet." Well. Well. As it stands, we need to acquire some clay men, and we have enough space in our cargo to take them on board. And so we shall. In Polythreme, we have no desire to reduce terror here, but we will indeed carry clay men to London. I believe that is what we need for our quest, and so we take them. Each one lies down in its appointed position next to the other, nestled snugly, head to foot. "We are for London," one explains to us. Well, hopefully none of them are unfinished, and our voyage will prove safe. As it stands, we leave Polythreme and head out on the waves. There could be any number of other ports nearby, and indeed there's one right next to us. Godfall, perhaps. Indeed, Godfall it is. What is this place? Sometimes, just occasionally, bits of the roof fall off. Be glad we weren't here when this one did. The brawling bearded men who live here call themselves monks. If we had wine, we could do so with 5 mushroom wine casks. If we had blood, we could do so. If we had shouting, we can acquire a port report. We can explore the shattered citadel if we had a great deal of foxfire candles, but we do not. Another place will have to return in the future. For now, let us tell them of the past and present events in the monastery. They pay lip service to Saint Stalactite, which fell from the roof, but their chief interest seems to be wine, blood, and shouting. They're eager to tell us about their history. The stalactite, they assure us, was one of the citadels of the starved men who dwell on the roof. When it fell, a few of its occupants survived to become the monks' progenitors. How does that work, we wonder, with their vow of celibacy? They become vague, and are suddenly eager to speak of the details of passing shipping. But we have a port report of Godfall now, and perhaps that will prove useful. That appears to be all we can do here, however, and so we set sail once again. as we explore the distant Z. There's a great deal out here to give us pause, but for now we simply explore. Anything of interest down to the south? No. Simply giant stones in the waters. We enter the Principles of Coral again, close to Port Cecil, and thus we change course and head out further into the east, where things are most unsettling. We enter the Calumnies, the wild and glorious scent in the air. Why do sailors fear this place? That does not seem like a safe place to travel. Let us move on and evade that spiny creature's notice. Aestival is some way to the southeast, and so to Aestival we go. What do we discover here? Who knows what this place may hold? Leslie's Harbor and Aestival. We arrive on the strange shore here, a shore in the sunlight. But this is where we must end for today. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. This has been Vanguard of Valor playing the Sunless Sea. If you've enjoyed today's episode, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. But for now, this is it. Until next time, goodbye.